Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. We will present to you the pulse test on cables and the accessories. We are from Group 5. Our members include 4 persons, which is Sun Wei Cheng, Wan Haziz Shakiri, Muhammad Isam, and also me, Hanif Talha Bilis. So our content for this presentation includes object scope, characteristics of test installation, state of test installation, shape of impulse wave, calibration of impulse generator, prediction impulse test level, application of impulse test above, and also the procedure for test. So I will begin for the objective and scope. So to lay down this test, to lay down the conditions and also the procedure for carrying impulse test on cables and also on its accessories. So this test is to facilitate failure comparisons between the results obtained on the cables made to different specification. So this test also, the objective of this test also to facilitate value comparison between the results obtained on cables with different specification. This test will be divided into 3 sections, which is section 1, the characteristic of the state of the test installation, the section 2, the procedure of stand test, and also lastly the section 3, which is the test above stand level. So we move to the characteristic of the test installation. All cables must undergo bending as per IEC recommendation, which is the different mechanical operations may be appropriate to cable for special condition of service. As example, submarine cables. This should be the subject of the agreement between the purchase and the manufacturer. So the sample line that should be recommended for this test installation is minimum 5 meter between sealing ends, with joint 5 meter of free cable between joints and sealing end, and lastly multiple joint at 3 meter between joints. So for the state of this test installation, which is there are 2 state of the test installation, which is the first one is pressure condition and also the temperature condition. For the pressure condition, for gas pressure in oil-filled cables, the pressure shall be adjusted in accordance with the relevant IEC recommendation. And the second one, for the temperature condition, the temperature conditions and the method of the temperature measurement shall be as described in the relevant IEC recommendation.
So, according to the standards, Clause 4 and Clause 5 specifically address the shape of the impulse wave and calibration of the impulse generator. Clause 4 describes the required shape of the impulse wave used during testing. They shall have a duration wavefront between 1 microsecond and 5 microsecond. The standard waveform should be 1.2/over 50 microsecond impulse. This means the wave must rise to its peak voltage in 1.2 microseconds and then fall to have that peak value in 50 microseconds. The permissible duration takes up to half of the peak value of 50 plus minus 10 microseconds. The wave must be representative of the kind of electrical stress the cap stress to the cable or accessory could encounter in a real overvoltage situation. And also this includes avoiding waveforms with overshoots, oscillations, or some kind of distortions that could invalidate the test results. But in some special cases, other waveform may be used, but only if mutually agreed upon by the testing authority and the manufacturer. And also this alternative waveform must effectively test the insulation under realistic stress conditions. Okay, so we move on to clause 5, Clause 5 basically focuses on the calibration of the impulse generator. Before any testing begins, it is crucial to confirm that the generator is producing the correct wave shape and the voltage. Calibration ensures the accuracy and reliability of the impulse applied to the test object. Um, the voltage should be measured at the terminus of the test object or as close as possible to them. This will be minimize the waveform distortion caused by reflections or losses in the circuit. The calibration must record key parameters: the peak voltage, the front time, the time to have value, and the overall shape of the impulse wave. Appropriate measuring instruments are also essential. This includes high-frequency oscilloscope, voltage dividers, and recording devices capable of capturing false impulse waves. The instruments must be suitable for high voltage impulse conditions and properly maintained by time. Um, Calibration must be performed before each series of tests. Whenever the configuration changes, and periodically according to internal quality procedures. If the generator produces a wave outside of the defined tolerances, the test is invalid and must not proceed until recalibration is done. Basically, in summary, Clause 4 ensures the waveform used in impulse testing is accurate and realistic, while Clause 5 ensures the generator is properly calibrated to deliver that waveform.
Next, move to section 2, withstand test. Application of the impulses at level specific. First, we prepare the test environment with the sphere gap setting increased so that no flashover occurs across the gap, and with the cable maintained at the required temperature, the test insulation shall be subjected to a series of 10 positive impulses at this voltage specified. The time interval between two successive impulses should be just sufficient to ensure that the impulse generator is charged at the correct voltage. After the application of the 10 positive impulses, immediately the generator should be recalibrated for a negative polarity under the conditions specified in Clause 5, and a series of 10 negative impulses at the same specified voltage should then be applied to test assembly. Then, oscillograms should be taken of at least the first and 10th impulses in each series. The oscillogram should include a timing oscillation. During this test, the ambient temperature, the cable temperature, and where applicable, the gas of oil pressure should be checked. When for research purposes, an impulse test to a level above the endurance level is made, the procedure given below is recommended and will be described in point 8 hereafter. In this case, the power frequency test at ambient temperature included in IEC publications 141/1, 141/2, and 141/3. Tests on oil field and gas pressure cables and their accessories may be omitted, provided that there is no doubt that the test installation has successfully passed the impulse withstand voltage test. If the last oscillogram does not show this clearly, further impulses voltage may be applied at withstand level to obtain a good oscillogram.
So I will present the section F, which is procedure for test involved with the withstand level. So there are 6 sequences that impulse shall be applied with the temperature condition as specified in section 3.2. First one, 10 negative impulse at resistance voltage by approximately 5% per second. 5 positive impulse, the first at 50% of the previous, which is step 1, and the remainder at progressively increasing value up to 85% of the value used for step 1. Third, 10 positive impulse at resistance voltage by approximately 5%, and for 10 positive impulse at resistance voltage by approximately 10%. Then fifth, 5 negative impulse, the first at 50% of the value used for step 4, and the remainder at progressively increasing value up to 85% of the value used for step 4. And 6, 10 negative impulse at resistance voltage by approximately 10%. And next, section 8.2, the sequence specified in section 8.1 shall be repeated. The test voltage will increase in step of approximately 5%. So step 7 and step 9 will be at resistance voltage by approximately 15%, and step 10 and step 12 at resistance voltage plus 20%, and so on. And 8.3, the best shall continue until the desired voltage is reached or until breakdown occurs. 8.4, oscillogram shall be taken of at least the first and 10 impulse of each series. The last one, in general, no recalibration of the generator is necessary throughout this series of tests, and the voltage can be determined by extrapolation from the original calibration. When, however, the margin between the test voltage and the maximum voltage used for the original calibration is considered too large for accurate result, a fresh calibration may be necessary. So that's all for our group.